Guys, it's been a second since we've had a chance to speak to this Hall of Famer, former UFC champion and MMA icon. He now has his very own whiskey, plus some other exciting projects that you can get involved in that we're excited to talk about. It's an honor to welcome back our good friend El Guapo back to Submission Radio. Bas Rutten, welcome back, man, from a different setting in Texas.
It's been a while.
Last time we spoke to you were in LA. Now you're in Texas, my friend. You've made the big move.
Yeah, July 4th, actually, we arrived here. And it's cool because my apartment is on the top floor and we have a park where they do the fireworks. So I was looking, it was a private show for us. It was amazing.
This is awesome, man. I got to be honest, dude. I missed the cigar, though. I was saying this to you just before. I missed the cigar.
Oh, well, you know what? I get it. It's very cold outside right now, but they have a really nice place here next door, like next to the building. We're in an apartment building for now. We're looking for a house somewhere. But it's a really beautiful place, and you can smoke a cigar there. So next time when you guys got a call and the weather makes it's a little bit better, I will sit there with a cigar for you.
Perfect, man. Perfect. Well, look, there's a lot to discuss. Obviously, you've got a lot of big projects coming up, and there's stuff we want to talk about to do with you as well. But I just want to get your thoughts on a couple of big fights as well that just got announced, because you're kind of the perfect guy to discuss these fights with. And the first fight I really, really want to get your take on is this rematch between Alex Pereira and Israel Adesanya. Because I feel like out of anybody in the world, you look at this fight, you see things that other people don't. I got to get your thoughts before we talk about the rematch. What did you make of that fight, the last fight that they had? And what do you make of the situation that Israel's in, where he's basically fighting a guy he lost to 3 times and being stopped by twice?
Yeah. Okay. So the left hook from Pereira that's his bread and butter. I mean, that's how he knocked out to most people. When I saw him fight against Israel, is the first thing I said. I said, if he's going to get down, it's going to be the left hook. I mean, because it's constantly coming, and it's constantly coming from his clinch as well. So you just have to look at, if you look at the past fights, it's what he uses as well. So find a counter for that. You know, you're going to have to find a counter for that. Now, don't completely focus on one counter, of course, because Pereira can change his game plan as well. You never know. You know, he's not stupid, and his training camp is not stupid. But that's something I really would work hard on. And pressing the action the whole time. I think he did really great, Israel, when he was pushing the action. And when he was just flowing, you know, and then he hurt him also at one moment. So he needs to find that flow again, which is hard, you know, because if a guy beats you, you know, then it's you know, that's always in the back of your head. Although I think with Israel, it's a little bit of a different game. He's one of those guys who's mentally very strong, can simply shut it off, like the K1 guys. They can do that as well. They can lose by knockout, and then the next time they win the whole freaking tournament again. You know, and normally you won't see that. Normally a guy gets knocked out, and that's pretty much the end of his career. That's where he starts losing if he has not lost before. Most of the time, those guys, because then they realize, hey, I'm human, you know, but he doesn't have that. But what he needs is loads of stamina, mix in some more takedowns. But every time when you leave the clinch, oh, man, I mean, you saw it happening. You knew it was going to happen eventually because it was so close every single time. And then, boom, suddenly he got rocked with it. So, yep, that's what he has to work on. And Pereira, a little bit of a change in the game plan. Maybe make it a right hook where you start focusing on. Just do a little bit different because you never know if Israel actually is going to work on that.
And then the other thing is probably the leg kicks, right? Because Israel was saying how, like, Alex with the leg kicks, it hit his peroneal nerve and it compromised his movement. I guess, like, from your perspective, what's a good way for Israel to sort of counter some of those leg kicks? Because it's like with Pereira, there's so much to look out for when you're fighting him. It's like people focus on the left, and the left is usually sort of their undoing. But those leg kicks, they sort of accumulate, and in Israel's case, compromise him too.
Yeah, the thing is with him, he doesn't really throw his hips in, you know, and that makes what it means is it takes a little bit of power out of it, but it makes it really fast. You know, the problem with kicks like that is, and I've said this before with Anderson Silva, with other people, if they don't do that, they hit with the flat part of the shin, and if that gets checked, you might snap your shin bone in half because it's just weaker that way. I think, did I ever explain that on the show also? No, right?
I believe you did. Yeah. And then he had the really good one when he broke down Conor McGregor's stance and said that might be his undoing. That's exactly what happened against Dustin Poirier.
Yeah, so what Israel needs to do if he wants to stop the low kicks, he's going to have to change the stance. You have to make a more open stance. That's the way I fight. I like to fight. Because in the stance that he is right now, it's very hard for him to check those low kicks, especially because he doesn't throw them while using his hips. So it's a fast leg kick, like Jose Aldo would fight like that. Tyron Spong would fight like that. And Tyron I always said, if somebody checks that low kick, if they switch stance, he's going to break his shin bone. Guess what happened? That's exactly what happened, because he hit with the flat part. If you try, if this is a shin bone, so to say, this phone, right? It's easier to break it like this than it's to break like this. Well, the shin is, if you kick with the flat part of the shin, you have way more chance that you break it than when you turn it over and hit with this side of the shin. So it's much faster what they do. But there's a big danger. Now, if Israel switches to a more open stance and his left foot, for instance, he points it 45 degrees to the side, the only thing he needs to do is lift his leg like this. And then Pereira will hit with the flat part, he will hit the strongest part of the shin bone, just below the knee. And that is going to be that he will do once or twice, and then he's going to realize that he cannot pursue that. Now, if that was part of his major game plan since it worked last time, and you just take that away right away by checking him like that, that's going to be a problem. And otherwise, you're going to have to counter-strike every single low kick. So whatever, and I always do this with my students anyway, with the focus mitts, whatever, I always wear shin guards. And I kick out of the blue, and they're going to have to counter. And I will tell them before what counters they need to counter with. But if you train it like that, not just a drill like punch, kick, and a counter, no, do it unexpected. So I'm kicking without using my hips, so you can't tell, because if I do this, a right kick is going to come. But if I just suddenly lift my leg, for them it's just to get the reflex built, and then while the punches, and then right away they come back with the punches. Now that's a great way to stop it as well. But if it goes a few times wrong and the low kicks they had and they connect a few times, that might damage the leg. Once the leg is damaged, it's going to be very hard to throw those shots. So it's either that or checking the kick. I would choose the checking, but then he's going to have to change the stance, which is going to be hard because his entire life he's been fighting in a different stance.
Man, do you feel like Israel has to fight we'll talk about Alex in a second, but do you feel like Israel has to fight the perfect fight here? Like, it's 5 rounds, and in the first one, he hurt Alex Pereira badly early in the fight. I want to say it was the first round. And so he was like winning. He was up on all the judges' scorecards. He was on his way to a decision win, and a pretty good one at that, in a pretty good fight. And then right at the very end, Alex Pereira obviously landed, and then it's that left hook that gets everybody. I feel like that left hook is just such an issue for so many people that can get you, and obviously the power lasts all the way to the very end. Do you feel like Israel kind of has to fight the perfect fight here to avoid that left hook?
Just in and out movement the whole time. I mean, every single combination, every warm-up that you do, make a combination, push yourself back. Make yourself a combination, push yourself back. After every single combination, as a warm-up, it's really strenuous, very hard on your front leg, but you will learn in and out movement super fast. And that's what he needs, because he can't stay there. But the worst part was, every time when he looked for a clinch, he was clinching and he was standing there. But when he left the clinch, that's when he set himself up for it. And he has to watch out for that. What about bring a hand up? At least hold it away from you. I don't like these blocks, and especially with somebody who can punch really hard, because it's like me taping a focus mitt to my face and then let Pereira hit me in the face. Of course I'm going to go down, because I make myself one with my head. So a block, normally this is okay to block, but on a power shot, like a guy like Pereira hits really hard, I would always block away from it, or preferably, of course, you want to let him miss and then counter strike, because that's another thing. If the hook misses, well, he sets himself up because he used a lot of power, so he will overcommit a little bit. So that's another way. So moving out of the way and countering with the cross. But you see, now the game planning starts. The game planning and what's it? Teixeira, he's a very smart game planner as well, with his whole camp for Pereira. And then, of course, the other side as well, that they start listening to other interviews and they all start changing their game plan. But what happens is what Mike Tyson always says: as soon as it gets hot and somebody gets hit, then he gets hit, then you go back to your old game plan. Nobody sticks with the new game plan. They fall back. So it's always good to work on the old game plans. And old game plans I'm talking about, what's the very first fight that he did, and find things that he still does till this day. There's always things that they always keep, and find counters for that. That's the way I was game planning, because I knew that people would change it.
It's a fascinating fight. You got two coaches in Eugene Behrman and Glover Teixeira that are both, geniuses when it comes to what they do. And you got a guy in Pereira who's absolutely huge, who's improving, you'd think, behind the scenes when it comes to his grappling. And I love his striking style, just from the perspective of it's a bit different to what we're used to. It's like he said, throws his kicks a little differently. He doesn't kind of use his hips when he throws his punches. There's a lot of arm punches there that he doesn't load up on, but he kind of just throws them like they're weapons and just takes people out. And he's kind of like, if you don't take him out, he's just going to come back at you. And he's just going to reset and he's going to go for you again. It's a crazy mindset to go up against. So I wonder, Bas, when you look at it, what's your prediction here? Like, who do you think is actually going to get it done?
It's a hard fight. In my heart, for me, it really doesn't matter all. But for the fans, it would be great if Israel wins because they get to do a rubber match. I think that's the only way. But I always go. I'm very political with that because I know how it is for fighters. There's a lot of pressure. Whoever has the best performance that day is probably going to win the fight. But for our fans, for us as fans, it would be great if Adesanya wins because then we can do it again.
And I wonder, because you were someone who came into the MMA game as one of the best strikers to ever do it. And I remember you used to tell us little stories of how you'd be practicing different jiu-jitsu moves on your wife in the middle of the night, like drilling stuff as it comes to your head. What is your advice for Pereira as he's sort of navigating the waters of MMA? Because we know outside of Israel, there's all these wrestlers that are basically licking their chops, waiting to try and get to him. What's your advice to him to try and catch up as quickly as possible?
I do exactly the same thing that I did. Forget about striking. Do your focus mitts and your time pads just for stamina. Maybe spar twice a week. That's it. And the rest 2-3 times a day, only start doing ground and wrestling. That's the only way to get better because nobody's going to stand with him. When I realized that, they're not going to stand with me anyway. They don't know that I didn't train any striking for the last 6 weeks and only worked on the ground. And as long as they don't know it and it's in their head, they're not going to strike at me. So they're going to try to take me down. So might as well be prepared for that. And it's a hard thing to do because, once you love going to the gym and dominating. Trust me. It's very hard to go to the gym and then lay on your back and let them take any position and constantly, they're working you. But guess what? That's what you need to do. Like in any other job, if there's a certain aspect from your job that you don't like, most of the time, the reason is you don't understand it. And that's with submissions as well. I didn't understand it, but once I understood it, then I realized all the crazy freaking combinations I could do with it. Then I realized it was way more powerful than striking. I mean, being able, and every jiu-jitsu guy can do that, every single one of them, be able to break pretty much any bone or dislocate any joint. That's a big power to have. You on the street, you can when I was a boxer, I would do requests. Want a left arm, right arm? Let me know. Because they can't stop it. They never did it. You see, but once you start training like that, I think that would be the way for him. And Israel doesn't know that he's only training in the ground. Imagine Pereira suddenly shooting in for takedowns. Nobody's going to expect that in the world. You see, so things like that can really set somebody up. And Israel is going to have to train also really hard. I would stay away from the clinch. If there's a clinch, find something that you can break the clinch much better, not just pushing away because that was the left hook the whole time. And it was so close. But better takedowns. And then, this is easy for me to say because I never been a great wrestler. I just really worked on my reversals. And so if somebody would take me down, I was able to reverse them and go for a submission. But my wrestling, I never had a wrestler in Holland. It's very hard to find wrestlers there.
Yeah. And also because Pereira's young request. Just the fact of that. Also because Pereira's younger in his MMA career, you kind of got to think he might be improving faster. So it's going to be really interesting seeing the difference in adjustments and then also improvements between Israel and Alex. But the next fight that we wanted to get your thoughts on is a massive one, the heavyweight battle between Jon Jones and Ciryl Gane. I'm curious, first of all, before you even break that down, who do you think is more dangerous for Jon, Gane or Ngannou?
Yeah, it's hard to say. Well, just if you look at the record, you say, okay, Ngannou beat Gane, with the takedowns and everything, but those takedowns to Jones not going to do anything because he's that good of a wrestler. Yeah. So That's a hard one. I think Ngannou hits harder, but Gane is better on his feet and more lighter on his feet. And he's got really great power. I'm not saying he doesn't hit hard. I'm just saying Ngannou hits really hard. But Gane also, if he connects, it's also over. So, yeah, that's a hard question. Styles make matches, man. And that's really it.
I wonder when it comes to Jon Jones putting on that much weight for this fight, how much you think it's going to affect it, because we saw what happened with the OSP fight where Jon put on a bunch of muscle and that fight didn't really quite work for him. He didn't quite know how to navigate that weight and the way that he moved after getting so big. In this one, it looks like he's going to put on quite a lot of weight, and he's going to be fighting a guy like Gane, who is very quick on his feet, very elusive, and you're looking at a 5-round fight as well. So how do you think Jon manages actually being away from the cage for so long? How do you think he manages actually dealing with all that weight in the new weight class?
I think he'll be okay. The reason is because he's already for quite some time that weight. So his body's used to it. If he really, I hope he works out his breathing muscles, right? This is important, especially now.
O2
trainer. Listen, this is so weird, right? All the Olympians do it. And none of the fighters. I go like, and everybody looks at fighters who are in great shape, and I say, look at them breathe. There's no raising shoulders. So, but truly, and especially in the heavyweight division, because those guys, they have the same heart as us, they have the same amount of lung volume as us, but they have like 60 pounds heavier. That's a lot of weight to carry extra. I think the problem here is Jon Jones will take Gane down. There's very few people who can stop Jon Jones' takedown. That's what I believe. Okay, DC, and I think even he had DC one time. I don't remember that, but I believe so. So we're talking about a really great wrestler, and Jones is not one of those guys who's going to choose for ego. He might be in the build up to the fight. He might say these things, but he's a smart fighter. So that means that he knows that if he rolls the dice with Gane, when he gets hit, that might be trouble as well, because the guy hits really freaking hard. So for him to get inside his head is right away to start going for takedowns, mixing it up. That's what you always want to do. And if he does get a takedown, now he's inside Gane's head, and now Gane's going to be afraid of the takedown, and then the striking is going to it's going to be much easier. So that's the problem that Gane has to overcome. A lot of footwork. He probably learned a lot from his fight against Ngannou when Ngannou start taking him down. Yeah. Because that's how you get better, right? If you lose, that should never depress you. That should actually be a light under your butt that says, hey, I need to work a little bit harder, because that's how I lost, and let's make sure that will never happen again. So yeah, that's what I see happening, and especially the reach of Jones and his takedowns and the power that he has. For any fighter on the planet, it's hard to beat Jon Jones.
If it does stay standing for periods of time, I'm curious how you think Jon Jones' striking matches up with Gane, because he's had such an advantage over a lot of the light heavyweights with like the reach and the size and just in general, like the creative striking that Jon Jones has. But against a guy like Gane with that speed, that fluidity, that distance management, I'm curious how, you think those guys match up there.
Gane is, listen, you have a guy who started, I believe, he learned in 4 years or less than 4 years, he had 13 kickboxing matches, all won them. Yeah. Maybe one by decision or two, and the rest all by knockout. And then he just decides to go 2 months later into mixed martial arts, and boom, and again, and he ranks only wins. This guy is a super talented guy, and he's learning on the job. So every time he gets a fight, and even when he wins, he said, I can do this better, I'm going to be stronger. He only lost once in his entire life. Was the interim champion. Think about that. It's really amazing in such a short career, pretty much, that he had. So a guy like that who keeps thinking, and he sees everything that Jon Jones is doing. With Jones also, don't put too much footage out there. I don't think he's doing that anyway. But because guys like that, they will dissect everything and they work on it. So it's hard. He will read his movement. He knows he's going to stay outside the reach of his opponent. So maybe we don't know. Maybe he has a thick headgear like this. That's what I always say. If you find somebody with long reach, put a headgear on, not to cover your eyes on the side, but with the long forehead. So now if you add 4 inches to your forehead, well, you give your opponent 4 inches reach advantage. And if you tell your sparring partners to only hit the front of the head or so, then you can get used to that distance, because let me tell you, if you're not used to a freaking 80-something reach and you train with a guy who has like 78, that's a problem, because suddenly it's in your face. You have to really watch out. So the first round will be a reading moment, let him miss far away, and every time you come a little bit closer, and then suddenly you feel that you're just outside the reach of outside his reach. And that's when you want to start countering. And I think Gana's going to do that. But, but then he has to deal also with the kicks and the no patterns of Jon Jones. I mean, he won't throw a same strike. And if he throws a same strike, it's to set you up like he did with Cormier. Body kick throughout 3.5 rounds. And then suddenly switch to a high kick. And we were talking about this on the show before. I'm pretty sure we talked about how hard that is for a fighter to hold back, to not go for the head kick right away, because in your mind tells you, oh, it's good, it can work now. But I guarantee you his corner said, no, you're not going to throw it. Just a body. We'll wait. We will tell you when you're allowed to kick the head. But it's very hard, because in the meanwhile that you're waiting for that high kick, your opponent might knock you out. You see, so all these stories go inside your head. Oh, but what if something happens to him? What if this happens? I know he's ready. You already did it enough. Kick high. No, the other guy says no. That all that shit goes through your mind while you're fighting. It's really weird. You got a whole bunch of voices talking to you. So for Jones to stay in that lane and then suddenly switching it, that's the only time when he has a pattern, when he uses it to set somebody up. But for the rest, it's a front kick, it's a high kick, it's a punch, it's an elbow, it's a hook. And suddenly everything is different with him, But again, Gane can start doing the same thing, because Jones never had a person like that who did the same thing to him. And Gane is a smart guy. Maybe he sees that style and says, you know what, anything you can do, I can do better, right? So I've made a song of it. So let's see what happens there. It's hard, man. I always say this against Jon Jones. It's just very hard to game plan, because in my book, I think he's the most exciting one. I mean, he never lost. If you think about it, Matt Hamill was not really a loss.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like, before we move off this fight, it's an interesting one from the perspective of people are saying, okay, this is kind of like a fresh start for Jon Jones. He had his controversies when it came to, different things that he was caught with at light heavyweight and all the other stuff that happened to him. And people kind of feel like, all right, this is his chance to kind of put all that in the background. So for you, I wonder if Jon's able to get it done here, what do you think this does for his legacy, having this kind of success at heavyweight? And also, I get the sense from you that you're sort of leaning towards Jon Jones getting it done here. Would I be right?
Yeah, I mean, he's an undefeated guy, and he's just that strong, and he will do anything for his legacy. But I always talk about guys who have it all, right? And with him, I don't think he has it all. In fighting, yes, but he needs to be the perfect guy outside of fighting too now, And once you have that, and your lifestyle outside is not so crazy and not this escalation and all these things, it makes you a much calmer fighter, and that will help him a lot. Plus, he sends a great message to all the youth. Be a good guy. And this is perfect, all the mistakes he made. It's only good, because everybody makes mistakes. So this is only for him. Now he can show the world, hey, I came back from it. If I can come back, you can come back from it. You see, so he can make this freaking role model. And that's what I'm hoping that he's going to do. It's going to build his legacy. And then if he's the perfect clean guy outside of fighting as well, and not these crazy rumors going on the whole time, man, sky's the limit. Imagine the Nike. I mean, you name it. Everything will start coming to guys like that. And it's just a freak show family, if you think about it. And I mean this in a good way. I mean, his brothers are really good as well. They're all crazy athletes, It's really amazing if you think about it. Both in the NFL, and he's at the highest level. I mean, tell me not a family. Okay, the Williams, the Vanessa Williams, and the tennis sisters. But, I mean, 3? That's pretty impressive. So, but God knows what he's up against, and he's going to use footwork, and he's got great footwork, and he will switch stances, and he does all that stuff. That's also a guy that Jones never fought. So it's a tough fight for both of these guys. But I think Jones, with the takedowns, he should be able to win it.
Yeah, 100%. I can't wait for the fight. Speaking of hard fights, don't fight with your rusty razor when you're in the shower trying to shave your balls. Upgrade your life to the Manscaped Lawnmower 4.0, the black belt in ball grooming tools, the pound for pound greatest grooming tool in the world, with its LED lights, its waterproof features, ceramic blade, it's skin-safe technology, the wireless charging dock. What's not to love? And if you get the Platinum Package 4.0, it is the best value deal yet with the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, the Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, ultra premium body wash, ultra premium 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner, ultra premium deodorant, crop preserver, anti-chafe and ball deodorant, crop reviver ball spray toner, and the free gifts, the boxes and the Shed travel bag. I don't know about you, but I feel super, 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 super confident when I got a freshly shaved sack. And then add to that, you smell nice from all the products. Can't go wrong. Isn't that right, Dennis?
That's right, man. And as we're packing for Perth, getting ready to fly over there for UFC 284, Manscaped will power us through those crazy long nights of editing and trying to get those interviews. You guys can power through 2023 thanks to Manscaped as well by using code word submission, getting 20% off and free shipping today. Do it right now and get off on the right foot in 2023. Use the code word submission, get 20% off and free shipping, and get 2023 off on the right foot thanks to Manscaped. And speaking of making 2023 a roaring success, what about making a bit of money? Nothing wrong with making a bit of cash thanks to our friends at MyBookie, who right now have the odds up for Alex Volkanovski versus Islam Makhachev. Alex at plus 279, Islam minus 384. I'm fascinated to know which way will you guys be leaning, and already the odds out for the rematch, Israel versus Alex Pereira. Israel minus 150, Alex plus 120. I want to know which way you guys will be leaning in the comment section below, or tag us in those bets. And of course, it just makes things even sweeter when you guys can use the code word submission and claim me a deposit bonus dollar for dollar all the way up to $1,000. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with our friends at MyBookie, Cass.
That's right. And then there's also good friends at NordVPN that are going to save our asses. I think it's next week when we fly out to Perth, and we're going to be using all sorts of insane, dodgy Wi-Fis at the airport, at the Airbnb, the hotel, the Wi-Fi that the UFC provides. And we don't want anybody tracking all the spicy, copious amounts of spicy websites that we're searching. So many spicy websites. And if that's you, if you don't want your internet service provider seeing what you're seeing, and if you want to block trackers, if you don't want those, stupid specific ads that, everybody tries to bring to you, and if you want to protect your identity, you don't want to get your identity stolen, NordVPN, phenomenal for you. Also, if you just want to access all sorts of phenomenal content in countries that are trying to block you from watching their great content, BT Sport, prime example, they do phenomenal coverage of MMA and boxing, but a lot of the stuff you cannot watch. So you switch your geolocation with one touch of a button. You may be in Canada or Australia, but now your computer thinks you're in the UK. It works brilliantly for streaming services. If you've watched everything there is on your specific geolocation of Netflix, well, maybe you want to watch UK Netflix or Australian Netflix or German Netflix, whatever floats your boat, and you can get shit cheaper as well. The same flights, the same products. If you change your geolocation, your currency changes, the price changes. Thank us later. Love NordVPN.
That's right, Cass. And the love gets even higher with this amazing deal that you guys can claim right now. Go to nordvpn.com/submission. Get a huge discount off your plan, plus a bonus gift now. And it's completely risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. Or click the link in the description below. Trust me, you're not going to regret making this decision. It's going to change everything. Get that security, get that amazing app, and get that amazing deal thanks to NordVPN.
All right, back to the fights. Last one, Bas. We have to ask you about this because obviously we're going to be in Perth to cover it live. I know everyone's looking forward to it. It's around the corner, and that's obviously Alex Volkanovski taking on Islam Makhachev for the lightweight belt, stepping up in weight. Massive stakes on the line. We know how much you must appreciate, the footwork, the feints, and the overall striking of Volkanovski. But is it enough to deal with someone like Islam, in your opinion?
Listen, man, I was at the time, I was one of those dumb guys who, because I really like Max Holloway, and I thought Max beat Volkanovski one time ago, and then somehow because of that, which is not his decision, this is the stupid judge's decision, and so it's like in my mind I put him on a second spot, and then I saw again a fight of him, and I go, I'm such an idiot. Why would I do something? I mean, he is so good. He is so good. And then the fight against Ortega, I was there, and I go, the guy's a freaking animal. And then when you start following him, and he's such a good guy, and he's, but you see how we get we automatically, you get, how is it, clouded, your mind gets clouded because, oh, you like this guy and he thought he won the fight. You know, it's just human things, how stupid we are sometimes. If somebody does only good things and does one bad thing and his whole life is judged on that one bad thing now, you see? So, and Volkanovski, I mean, with Ortega, the submissions that he was in that I thought he couldn't get out, he simply got out. He's a Terminator. He has endless energy. He's going to come for Makhachev. Makhachev, it's kind of a reverse, like if you think about it, right? Makhachev has way more submissions. Pretty much the same if you look at it. It's like 23 wins, 4 knockouts. 4 knockouts, I think, for Makhachev, and then the rest is submissions, around 11 or 12 or something. And then I believe that Volkanovski has the same thing, only flipped. He will have like 3 or 4 submissions, and then he has that same amount that Makhachev has at submissions, he has by knockout. So the game plan is, Volkanovski, you would think, to keep it on the feet. But there we go again. That's what Makhachev is going to believe he's going to do. So maybe we see Volkanovski suddenly shoot in. Because I tell you, Makhachev will never believe that because he's more of a striker, Volkanovski. That's what Makhachev believes. So this is a tough fight, man. And I know he's been steamrolling through everybody, Makhachev is, but Volkanovski, he impresses me every single time when I see him fight. And if there is a guy who can do it, I believe that he can do it. He can stop him even. You know, that's a big one. But, you know, if a punch connects. Both have been knocked out, by the way. Only once, but both of them. So they are susceptible, if you think about it, although it was a long time ago, all the way back in the career. I can only imagine the guy that knocked out Volkanovski, you know, was his like 3rd or 4th fight. When you go on Wikipedia, his name is not even blue. But you know he's telling the world right now, I knocked that guy out. They go, yeah, do it again. Go back now.
I think he's like a crane driver, and they did interview him. It's Corey something, I want to say. I feel disrespectful. I should look up his name. But it's interesting because, like, with Volk, I think that fight was at welterweight. he fights at featherweight, and like Volk used to fight at middleweight, so like he was fighting much bigger guys. And then with Makhachev, when he got knocked out, like if you look at his striking there, it was like it was horrendous. It was so bad, and now his striking's actually come like a long way. Islam Makhachev, and he's got deceptive power in his punches. But I'm curious if you're looking at Alex Volkanovski. Like, really, it's going to be a game of how do you keep Islam off you? And they're kind of like, look, we're going to get taken down, but that doesn't matter. It's the fact that we're going to get up. So I just wonder, from your perspective, if you're Volkanovski, you got this great striking, you want to utilize it, you don't want to be stuck on bottom. How do you keep a guy like Islam off you who's just been wrestling his entire life?
Yeah, that's going to be hard. But, you know, you're going to have to, there's no way that you can let Makhachev come forward the whole time. You know, you have to really watch out. You have to... Mixing big shots. Everything needs to be a big shot, whatever it is. Fake a knee the whole time. And I'm saying that because if Makhachev wants to come in for a takedown, if you constantly lift that leg a little bit, he might believe in his mind, you paint a picture for him that if he takes you down and then that knee comes up, he might knock him out. You know, I always use that example. What's this? Who fought... Mirko Krokop, his first fight in the Brazilian guy.
Gonzaga?
Gonzaga. Gonzaga. That was something, and until this day, I never asked the corner, but I should, and I truly believe it is. Gonzaga was constantly throwing across, and he was throwing it this far away from Mirko's head. And he was just going to cross, and I go, why would he throw it across the whole time? You know, because he's not even coming close. And then I go, oh, freaking genius. Because Mirko is a left kicker. So every time when he throws a punch, once in a while, Mirko starts thinking, if I make a kick, that means I'm going to bring my face closer. If he comes in with that punch, I'm going to literally walk on the punch. I'm going to get knocked out. And it stopped him from using the high kick. You see, and that is something that Volkanovski can do as well. You know, he can get inside his head, find something like, for instance, that fake in the knee. Like if he even makes a little feint to go down to the knee right away, let him see that you're going to lift the knee in his face. Now, sure, it might miss, but Makhachev is going to know that if that thing lands, that could knock him out, and it might put him on his toes a little bit, and that will buy you a little bit of extra time. But it's hard because he's got great striking now too, and he can set up his takedowns with striking as well, or he does it off a counter. If Volkanovski goes forward and then he does a striking counter and then he goes for a takedown, it's all so far advanced now since the days I was fighting. With us it was throwing a jab and you take somebody down. Yeah, that's not working anymore. Everybody's good now, really good. So you have to figure other things out, but. Yeah, find something that you can use. But for Volkanovski also, try to take him down. It's never going to work. No, but he's never going to expect it. And because he never expects it, it might work. Maybe throw a lazy punch, see what his counter is. And if it's a cross counter, you wait a minute, ad-lib a little bit, punch, and there that big punch is going to come again. And now at the moment he's going to counter, that's where you lower yourself and then you take him down because now he has to plant his feet. And then you go for a takedown. And God knows, if you get him on the ground, it will freak him out. Now, what happened the second time, I don't believe that. But now you're inside his head. So all these things that people say that won't work because he's such a great wrestler, well, he thinks the same thing. He says, nobody's ever going to try to take me down because I'm a great wrestler. But if Volkanovski suddenly does it, you see, it's just changing the game plan and make it different. It's a hard fight. But Volkanovski, I'll put my money on him.
Oh.
Wow, there it is.
Yeah, I put my money on him. I'm so impressed with the guy, and also the way he reacted outside. And he's just a really good guy. That endless energy. He can keep pushing. If he just fights every takedown and fights constantly, get him tired. See if you can get him tired. And I know Makhachev's got great stamina as well, but I think Volkanovski has got really great stamina, and he should really use that gas tank.
Yeah, just going back, that guy's name who's done back in the day, Corey Nelson, shout out to him. But I was going to say, one of the things about Volkanovski, there's so many things we could talk about him. We don't have the time, but one of the things about him is his mindset as well. He has one of these mindsets that is very, very rare in the sport where he genuinely wants to fight the best guys that he can fight. And he, a lot of people would become champion trying to kind of navigate the waters. And he just wants to fight all the time, no matter what injury, no matter what happens, no matter what border he has to cross in Canada because he doesn't have his visa. And he's just going to sit there cutting weight in the back of a car. He's got an elite championship mindset. And we know he had it from the very start. Now, Bas, I just want to quickly mention something because we're coming up on a huge anniversary this year. For you, September 31st, 1993, your MMA debut. 20 years ago, that's going to be the date. And I just got to quickly get your memory. What do you remember about that first round victory over Ryoshi in 43 seconds, almost 20 years ago? I mean, it's going to be a special moment for you when September comes around.
It's the most craziest thing ever. By the way, somebody looked at my record and the person goes like, wow, you finished everybody in the first round. To say, look at the time codes. I said, because we had only one round of 30 minutes. So yeah, it looks really cool. First round finished. Yeah, 30-minute fight. Love that. So, life-changing. It was the most insane thing that I saw, felt, experienced. It was like I said, I knocked him out and people going crazy for me. I mean, in Holland, that happens when a Japanese guy comes in and knocks out a Dutch guy. He's going to need security, to leave the building. And a lot of countries are like that. But Japan, they embraced me immediately. I always talk about this. There was a couple with a baby. I have no clue why they were there with a baby, but they asked me to make a picture with the baby. I felt like president with a baby in my hand. I was flexing. I remember I'm doing these crazy poses. My Rutten jump. Yeah. I had no clue that I did that. I always used to do this for my friends for fun. And the next day when I walked on the street, people started bowing to me, like one in every 10, 15 people like on the street is just bowing to me. And I go, so what's going on? And then I saw the newspaper with me and the splits hanging in the air. And then my opponent laying on the ground, knocked out. And I go, oh, so these people know me from the... It was crazy. It was so I got goosebumps now because it was a little scary too because he still didn't wake up the next day. It took like a day and a half till he came to his senses. Yeah, it was really bad. And I remember I spent a lot of money on my calling cards because I was talking to my wife. I go, I listen, if he's not coming out, I don't want to do this anymore. He's a really nice guy. He came to me he's just a very nice guy. And then it went too hard, so. Yeah, it's crazy how something like that, picking up a phone call and then going for a tryout and then going to Japan and then winning in that kind of fashion and then immediately being put on the map. I was always afraid to say, oh, I'm never going to win again because, these guys are really good. And then I won the second fight. And then I lost the third by submission. And I go, oh, here we go. But then I won the fourth again. And then by submission. And then finally, after my third submission loss, I've decided to start only do that. And then I won my next 8 fights by submission. And I never lost again. So I just changed my game. That's why Pereira really start focusing on that. Just do ground all the freaking time. Change your life. But it was life-changing. This is the reason that I'm sitting here with you guys talking right now. It's amazing how that goes.
Yeah, man. And we've been chatting for years, so it definitely means a lot to us. Just quickly, before we let you go, Bas, got to ask about this El Guapo whiskey, man. What does it taste like? Tell us a little bit about it.
Okay, so they came to me if I want to do a whiskey. And I said, well, if it's a little bit higher-end whiskey, yes, because I don't like a whiskey that people buy for $9.99 and then just use it to get drunk.
Yeah.
Because I want to stay. That's why you don't see me promoting gambling. I saw a guy one time jump over a freaking balcony in a hotel in Vegas because he lost his house and his freaking family there killed me. And I thought, man, if only one that happens with one person because I said something, I don't want to do this. And that's the same with alcohol. I didn't want to do that because I used to be drinking a lot. But I said, they make it a high end. And then I said, let's do it for a cigar. I said, what do you mean for a cigar? I said, make it sweet. I go, sweet? I go, yeah. Let's do a honey pepper. And he goes, honey pepper? This is crazy. I said, trust me. Try it out. Send me the thing. So they sent me a bunch of bottles, and I tried a bunch. And sweet goes really well with a cigar. I know a lot of people do just a whiskey. But, if you make something sweet like a port, or an amaretto, that works much better. Or if you don't want to use alcohol, you drink a Coke. Drink a regular Coke with a cigar. Trust me, you do this once, you're going to go, how did I not know this? Because it's the sweet and it's the cigar, the combination. So we did it, and it's going pretty well. Listen, it's not going to touch freaking McGregor, and I didn't do it for that. It was just like, hey, there's not a whiskey out there like this, which is sweet, the honey pepper whiskey, and especially for the cigars. You never know, and people really seem to like it. So that's how it came together, and now we're selling it. It's weird how that goes.
Dude, I'd love to share a glass with you one day if we ever make it over there and do this in person. But I also want to get one more thing. I also want to mention one more thing before we wrap up, and that's this Exodus 90 project that you're doing, where people could go to exodus90.com/Bas. And it's kind of like a great moment right now with people going through a lot of tough moments. Kind of break this down for us, because it's a bit of an awesome opportunity for your fans that are kind of going through it at the moment.
Yeah. So, okay, it's a religious thing, but we did it twice. And on the first time we did it, both times actually, our atheist friend did it as well, because he just loves the whole layout. So don't see it as you have to be religious. It's not about that. What it does is you're going to find out after 90 days that you're wasting a lot of freaking time online, zipping through stupid stuff and reading stupid stuff and watching stupid news and binge watching shows on TV, on Netflix, whatever it is. So there's a bunch of rules that you have to do for 90 days, 90. Take short, cold showers. You can only take cold showers. Like, I enjoy my cold shower. I want to take a longer one. I go, why short?
Wow.
It's like, but I don't enjoy them, by the way. Practice regular intense exercise, get a full night's sleep. Now here we go. Abstain, no alcohol, no desserts and sweets, no eating in between meals, no soda, sweet drinks. Abstain for television, movies, televised sports, no video games, non-essential material purchases. Only lives to happy music, not I'm out of blah, 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 all that. Use only your computer for your work. Use only your phone for your work. And then you practice also 2 fasting days. Now, what that is going to do is going to clean your life up like freaking crazy. So because now suddenly I don't drink. My cigar, I can break one rule on a Sunday. So if I say, I like to drink a glass of wine, I can drink 1 glass of wine. Or I want to have a cigar. I can have both. Okay, I'll smoke a cigar, take it with a Coke, whatever, or I take an El Guapo Whiskey without a cigar. She's now in a dilemma. So I will take the Coca-Cola with a cigar. But or you say, maybe you want to watch with the wife, you want to watch a show. Now, instead of during the week, what you're going to do, instead of watching shows and doing all that stuff, you start reading. Now you start reading books. Books that you always wanted to read but never did because you thought it was more important to watch Narcos or whatever, or the Peaky Blinders. Which, by the way, are great shows. I'm not saying that because
Kevin can't wait. Kevin can't wait. Kevin can't wait.
Kevin can wait.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong with Rutger. But you find out that after those 3 months, you 80% of your social media will be gone. And you're going to realize that it's not important to have these stupid likes. All these things that we believe it's important, it's nothing. Once it disappears, once your life is over, that will do nothing for you. Oh, no, he was a social media phenom. Who freaking cares? What did he do with that power? Did he help people? Did he do charity events? Did he do that? No, he didn't know. He was always doing crazy. Nah, didn't really do anything. Why don't you want to be known like a guy who actually did something right? Not stupid stuff. But look how dangerous it is nowadays. People, the things that they do to get on TikTok most likes. Last guy I see a guy, it was not dangerous, but he's watching a TV and it's set up. And then his favorite football team loses and he breaks the TV and he smashes, but they're filming. So it's already set up. And I go, now you broke a TV, you broke this, all for likes, It's so stupid because if you break it down, a tough guy is not in control of anything. Nothing has control over a tough guy. Like what I always say, this is what the promotion I did, which you probably saw it for Exodus 90. If you want to be a real man, you got all your vices under control. If you drink more than 2 drinks, you don't have it under control. If you need to be drunk all the time, you're not a real man. I wasn't a real man. I'm still not. There's always things that you can work better on, by the way. That's with drugs, that's with everything, with sex, with anger, with fighting on the street. Everything that has control over you and you can't stop it, well, you're actually a slave to that right now. So the real tough guy can say simply no. After 2 drinks, they can say, no, I don't need a third. I'm good. And once you do that, or smoke 1 cigar, you don't have to smoke 5 cigars a day, just have that control. And I think it's good for everybody because then you know that you can be in control. We're such a sissy society. I call it pusillanimous, pussy society. It comes from the word pusillanimous, which means lack of courage and determination. And that's really it, because we feed all our pleasures, because these pleasures, they make us happy. They don't. They give us pleasure. That's it. That's how any vice starts, by the way. Pleasure. But it's always bad. It's like drinking. It's always pleasure. But you do it too much. Now the next day you have a hangover. So what's better? Is it to say no to the drinking? Because okay, saying no to this drink is not going to give me pleasure right now. Or I say yes to the drink and tomorrow morning I'm going to wake up with a hangover. That's not pleasure as well. See, there's always a down and a plus side. So being strong and saying no to it, and that's just one example in which I failed a lot, by the way, because I was a heavy alcoholic also. It's just so much better for me to have these things under control. And like I said, I don't have everything under control, but a lot. I can tell you that 90% less than what I did like 9 years ago. And it's all because of the Exodus 90. I really started doing that with the boys. This is the 3rd time we do it, actually. And like I said, we had an atheist friend of ours. He's always joining us as well. And he loves it because he also realized it's not religion. It's just like every person should be able to do this. Tell a kid to lay the phone down for 2 hours. They're going to throw a tantrum. It's going to be crazy, good luck. You see, and that's how sad the world is right now. Push a button, gets it on a plane. Oh, I can handle a problem, take a pill. Can want to lose weight, take a pill. I don't have the time to train. That's what they say. Heartburn, cholesterol, blood pressure, you name it. Everything, pill. All the while, simply working out. What I do now, I wake up at like 5:30. That's the first thing I do. I do my meditation, I do my prayers, and then I'm in the gym at 6 o'clock already. And I work out. The first thing I do, O2 trainer. Post them every day. You can see that's what I do. Then I walk the dog at 7 o'clock. You see, so I have this whole thing down, and then you live healthy, and suddenly all those pills that I needed for cholesterol and for sleeping, and it's all gone. Nothing anymore. Just living a healthy life. It's so funny. It's almost like we're designed to fix our problems ourselves, right? And this is really how we are designed, as long as you live healthy. And this is something that really helps with that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that you said there. I love the message, man. I love the message. I love that you're keeping it real. People are too scared to say anything these days, and I like a lot of what you just said. And yeah, I can look at myself, and there's a lot of things I'm very well aware that like I'm using as a crutch, or I do way too often, or I'm simply addicted to. And knowing is really only like a quarter of the battle. If you know, but you don't do anything about it, then you're always going to have those things. I feel like there are some things that I'm just not ready to give up, but I like your general message, and you can see that you're someone who's been through a lot, the highest of highs, but you've also had your low points as well, and now you've sort of come full circle, and you're like, look, man, this is the direction that I'm going in. So, man, kudos to you, Bas. I love what you're doing. The program sounds phenomenal. Obviously, He's not going to be on as often, but follow the man on social media at Bas Rutten MMA. He's not going to be breaking TVs for likes, only just good, clean stuff. And make sure to also head over to the o2trainer.com to get your lungs at elite level. There it is in 2023. And watch his great work on commentary at Karate Combat. We didn't talk about Karate Combat, but Karate Combat is obviously phenomenal, man. One of the most exciting programs on TV. Thank you so much for chatting with us again, Bas. Always, after all these years, man, one of the people that we look forward to chatting with the most. So thank you.
Same here, brothers. I love it. Thank you so much. It was a welcome text message from you a couple of days ago, because it's been a while. Yes, indeed. And for everybody who is serious about breathing, if you stand in front of a mirror, that's the only thing I'm going to say. Take a deep breath. And if you see you raise your shoulders, you can get up to 5 times more oxygen in there. Believe it or not, go to the website, o2trainer.com. I got published medical journals, a lot of them. It will blow you away, just like it did with me, just like with Lyoto Machida, just like with everybody else. It will change you, and people have no clue. They all envy these guys with the great stamina. Watch these guys when they come back to the corner. There's no chest movement. There's only belly breathing. And if you enhance those breathing muscles, the sky is the limit. It's a game changer. I really think so. So no, I really know so. And I got the published medical journals to back it up. So look into it.
Phenomenal, man. Godspeed and party on.
Godspeed and party on. Take care. Moderation, though.